Hi, Tanya from Created Health, Nutrition and Fitness. So the transition from perimenopause through to menopause and its hormonal changes are strongly associated with the onset of depression and mood imbalances, even among women who have had no prior history of depression. The association between vasomotor symptoms and depression in menopausal women were reviewed, and they were reviewed in a randomised, double-blinded, placebo-controlled study that was conducted on the 8th of September 2020. And the name of that is Efficacy of a Novel Extract of Fenugreek Seeds in Alleviating Vasomotor Symptoms and Depression in Perimenopausal Women. So this was quite a really interesting study. So they were looking at the symptoms that women experience when they're transitioning from that perimenopause through all the way through to menopause, and depression and vasomotor symptoms. So that's what they were looking at in this research. And like I said, it was a double-blinded, placebo-controlled. So there were some that were on a placebo and some that were in a controlled substance. And what they were using was, it was a hydrolyzed extract of fenugreek seed. And it was really interesting because most women do experience moderate to severe vaso symptoms during their menopausal transition. So what are these vasomotor symptoms, you might be asking? They are things such as hot flushes, they are things like night sweats, causing insomnia and depression. So they're the things that this research was predominantly focusing on. We know that there's over 95 different signs and symptoms that women experience during this period of time. However, the research was focused in on this. And so let's have a little look at that cascade effect that actually happens during that perimenopausal, menopausal transition period. So number one, we have a decline in the production of estrogen. And then number two, this then alters neurotransmitter activity. And then from there is then that decrease in serotonin levels within the body. And this then leads to the decreased density of hypothalamic serotonin receptors, that 5-HT receptor. Now the 5-HT receptor is responsible for your thermoregulation within the body. So this then results in a change with the narrowing threshold of the levels of that thermoregulation zone that happens during menopause. And then from that then leads to hot flushes. And then with those hot flushes, that then leads to sleep disturbances. And then from the sleep disturbances, that then leads to daytime fatigue, which then impacts and creates a poor quality of life. And from that poor quality of life, then there's mood disturbances that are associated with that. And then from that mood disturbances, that's where we see depression signs and symptoms setting in that perimenopausal menopausal transition phase. So that's like the cascade of what's going on within the body. The other amazing thing is there's been lots of other research and surveys done relating to the association of depression and sexual dysfunction, which is one of the other signs and symptoms of this transition phase that women go through. So I'm not going to talk about sexual dysfunction because that deserves a whole lot of input. So I'm just going to focus on those vasomotor signs and symptoms that then have an impact with depression. So what can we do about all of this, I suppose, is the big question that a lot of women ask themselves. And so they found that the consumption of phytoestrogen can actually change that neuroendocrine mechanism in the core body temperature regulation. And that is what is associated with your hot flushes, that regulation of your core temperature. And this is a neuroendocrine mechanism that we are looking at in regards to this. So how can we change this? So that's what we need to address. Now we need to know, how are we going to change this? How are we going to make a difference with this? And this is what this research paper that I was reading was looking at. And they found that phytoestrogens actually have a bias for those receptors in the body that are the estrogen receptors. So the estrogen receptors are your beta, ER beta, and your ER beta activations. And then this results in a upregulation of the serotonin receptors. And then what this does is this causes a improvement in the hot flushes, the night sweats, and the insomnia. And then by improving that, we then found in this research that this actually resulted in estrogen-like action caused from phytoestrogen that was found in fenugreek. And this was really interesting research, and they had quite a diversity of the way that they conducted this research, with dosage, with timing, with different strengths of this fenugreek that they were using. And personally for me, I love fenugreek, and it's like it's almost like a full life circle for me coming back to fenugreek, because when I was breastfeeding our babies, and that was, they're now mid-20s, late 20s, so it was quite some time ago, I understood the importance of fenugreek when it came to hormonal changes in the body and supporting that, especially when it came to lactation. So, and actually, fun fact, one of the mums from my mum's group, when I had Bubbers, I mentioned fenugreek to her for her lactation issues, and she was so excited by the results that she received. She then went on to study, like I did, and is now did a Bachelor Health Science just like I did, because of the natural products that are out there that give such fabulous results. But back to this research, sorry, I digressed. So the results of these estrogen-like phytoestrogens that were found in fenugreek, they had it in a supplement. So they supplemented it for them, and it offered a significant reduction in the vasomotor effects and depression in the perimenopausal women, and it didn't have any side effects. So not only were they using a natural product that's been around forever, but it has absolutely no side effects, which was great. Now, the dosage that they were actually using in this research was 250 milligrams twice a day, and the period of time that they found most effective for this research was a 42-day period of time with that dosage. However, one exciting thing about this research was the reduction in the symptoms were evident within 28 days, even though they continued to monitor this particular study and research for 42 days. They found that there was a significant reduction in hot flushes and depression after that 28-day period. And let me just grab. So what they found was there was a 25.9% reduction in hot flushes. There was a 26.5% reduction in night sweats, 31.8% reduction in depression, and 21.6% reduction in insomnia. And this was all offered from a natural product with no side effects whatsoever. So if you are going through that perimenopausal menopause transition and you are experiencing hot flushes, night sweats, insomnia, depression, anything like that, any of those symptoms, not just those symptoms, but any of the 95 symptoms that are out there, reach out. I would love to help you. I'm all about creating healthy lives, because at the end of the day, your health is your wealth. And I'm Tanya from Created Health, Nutrition and Fitness.